Hi, I'm Max.
And I'm Skylar.
Recently, we decided to start watching Bob's Burgers to see what it was all about.
And it didn't take us long to become completely obsessed with the show.
But one of the things we love the most about the show is the brilliant end credit sequences.
Which is why we created this podcast.
Each week, we're going episode by episode to talk about the elaborate end credits.
We're excited to have you join us right here on Bob's Credits.
We'll make sure the Bob's Burgers end credits get the credit they're due.
All right!
This show, chipperoo, chipperoo. I'll try it again.
No, you're not allowed to. You're keeping that. That's how it goes.
We'll try it again though. But I had it ready to go.
Channel your Kelly Kapoor. You got it. It's okay.
This show, chipperoo, chipperoo.
R-oo?
Yeah.
Okay, chipperoo.
Yeah, that's
Yay,
well. I had to
good
do all the
job.
syllables. Wow, it took a few tries.
Ooh.
I deleted a couple of those tries, but I got there. This is a tough job to do a chipperoo at the beginning, and sometimes I get a little too crazy with them and can't pull them off. Let me just say, they go great in rehearsals.
In your head?
In the shower when I'm testing them out.
But do you verbally say them or do you do it in your head?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Sometimes
one
I
probably
have to
needed
whisper
more
them because
verbal.
I don't want you to hear them.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're just like whispering in the shower by yourself?
Yeah, and then I get the song stuck in my head, like whatever
But you
song
can't
I'm
sing
doing
it
a
out
parody.
loud.
Yeah, but I can't sing it out because I'm gonna be like, Skylar's gonna know exactly what chipperoo's coming.
See, my appreciation for the chipperoo is just developing.
It's very tough. Those of you listening at home, I dare you right now to try and spell out the banana style chipperoo the way I just tried to and see how well you do.
Pause it. Shall we move on?
I think so.
We're on a high.
We've done it. We're on a high. We are recording this days after seeing the Bob's Burgers movie.
It is Memorial Day Monday. We saw it Friday.
We saw it Friday morning, early morning showing. We're not going to, there's no spoilers on this episode. Don't be concerned. You don't got to go click it off right now. We're not going to talk about it here. The only thing we will say is that we came out smiling. We enjoyed ourselves.
Well, I will say we have been getting a lot of DMs asking if we're going to be talking about the movie on the podcast. We decided to do a full Patreon episode about our experience, our thoughts, shooting the shit about the movie. It is live now. Go sign up for our Patreon, our $5 tier, and you can listen to that episode. You can also hop on our Discord. We have a spoiler okay movie channel where you can chat with everyone about it. And we have a bunch of other episodes there too. So go sign up for that if you want to hear our thoughts on the movie, because oh boy, did we have them.
And speaking of Patreon, we have a new patron to thank, and we have to burger upon their name.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Allie Keeley. Allie, moving forward, you are going to be known as the Al Leek Veal Burger.
Oh, I love leeks. I also love alleys. I've never met an alley I don't like.
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of any alleys I don't like either. I have a cousin Allie. Maybe this is Allie. Are we cousins, Allie? No. Different last names.
Allie, thank you. We're so happy to have you.
Again, yeah, go over there. We've got all those bonus episodes. The Discord is booming. And yeah, you don't need to hear us talk about it too much more right now.
I will say, though, that we're already creating our Patreon schedule for like the holiday season. So Thanksgiving Patreon episodes, holiday episodes, Halloween stuff. So
yeah, luckily you're like Linda and you start planning for Halloween and Thanksgiving and
this is
Christmas
the time.
On like January 2nd.
This is the time.
And I'm like Bob. And it catches up to me and I'm like, oh God.
Oh God.
Gotta cook.
Speaking of which, we have such a Bob-centric Bob episode today. I'm so excited to get into it.
I love a Bob episode. But before we get into the Bob episode, we have to play a little Bob pun or Max pun. Are you ready for your first pun, Skylar?
Yes.
Your first pun is the Lego My Egg Goat Cheeseburger.
I'm going to say you.
Mm-hmm.
We've been watching Stranger Things. Legos are a thing, but let me tell you,
Eggos.
Eggos are
Legos are a thing, but Eggos are the thing on Stranger Things.
Eggos.
What if 11 liked eating Legos? That was her thing.
I mean, it could be that is some serious trauma she went through.
Mm-hmm.
So she could be featured on My Strange Addiction.
Your next pun is the Swiss from a Rose burger comes with Swiss cheese. I've been
Don't try and
Swiss
distract
from a
me.
rose on the gray.
Bob,
Max.
you're trying to trick me.
I know, because I'm obsessed with that song. Haven't done a chip chipperoo for that song yet, but could be coming. Your next pun is sitting on the dock of the Basil Burger.
That is so good, Max.
Yes. I love when you say it's so good and you're like, that's Max. Makes me feel so good.
I'm happy.
And your final pun is the You Had Me at Hellocra Burger.
Max.
Bob.
No.
I just knew you would think that was me.
Yeah. I actually was going to say Bob first because he does use okra a lot in his burgers. That was really good, but I thought it was you. By the way, one of our listeners made a Spotify playlist of all our Chip Chipperoo songs.
Really? That's incredible.
You didn't know that? I told you that.
Oh, I don't.
Logan.
Well, you gotta. Oh, yes. That's incredible.
We should share it with our Patreon, and we'll share it on Instagram.
Yeah, and speaking of playlists, over on our Discord, Gal has created a Teddy playlist, which is whenever Teddy references an artist or something like that, he's creating a playlist that he imagines Teddy would listen to, and it's amazing. It has like Tom
like
Petty, American Girl, and it's so good.
The Hammer.
Yeah, the Natalie Merchant song.
I feel like that's just like an inside look into Teddy's psyche. I also love Teddy in this episode we're about to discuss.
Teddy has the final moment before the end credits, so we'll get to listen to some Teddy.
Good.
Because yes, Teddy's fantastic in this too. You kind of can't have a Bob-centric episode without tossing some Teddy in there. He's kind of attached himself to Bob.
It's true. Oh, I want to say something about the movie, but I will not. Okay, let's put those two playlists up when this episode goes live. That'll be really fun.
Deal.
All right.
Time to get into this episode?
It's time to get into this episode. Would you like my new fun fact before the fun facts?
Do it. Fun fact before the fun facts.
Okay. I think you promised me to come up with a clever title for that, but...
I like this one, to be honest. I don't think you're going to beat fun fact before the fun facts.
Fun fact before the fun fact. All right, I got two for you because I cannot help myself. Would you like to know the inspiration for the Tina's
It wasn't me?
No, it was not.
Okay. I thought it was they just like witnessed my entire life.
Well, tell me if you relate to this then. So Lauren Bouchard said that it should sound like when someone calls 911 and can't think of what to say.
Oh, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yes, except that, we watch a lot of true crime and
you got to know what to say.
you got to know what to say, and you always sound like you committed the crime or you actually did commit the crime, so you sound like you're faking it. Either way.
I just think true crime, I think humans want to sink their teeth into story. So personally, for me, you could play me the same recording and say, can't you hear that this person is over exaggerating and being a bad actor? And I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, you hear what you want to hear.
Yeah. And then someone else could say, can't you hear that this person is in hysteria because they've just. Anyway. So why we figure out how to talk about true crime on the Bob's Burgers podcast so often?
I think it's because we listen to too much of it and we watch too many shows about it. And we watch a lot of documentaries and.
But that was the inspiration for Tina's iconic mouth sound.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to go into my next one.
Is it Tina related?
It's Linda related.
Okay, well, let me go toss out a fun fact before the fun facts that just popped into my brain. I was watching Dan Mintz, who does the voice of Tina, just in case you don't know his name. And he was on Paul Scheer and Rob Hubel's podcast, and Rob Hubel's actually just the voice in this episode. We'll get to that. But he was talking about doing the voice of Tina, and they asked him, were you a voice actor before? Why'd you do, it's just your normal voice. That's how you sound. And he said, one, that Lauren Bouchard has never asked him to do another voice on the show.
Because Lauren asks so many people to do different voices on the show.
I feel like everyone else does multiple voices
7.
on the show. And then he said that he once auditioned for another thing as a voice actor, and they asked him to do his voice 3 different ways, and he thought he did, but they were like, no, you just did it the same way 3 times.
Max showed me this clip. I just died in laughter. The earnest way he like tells the story. He said like, I really thought that I changed my voice for all 3 different attempts, but they were like, no, you didn't.
I think voice acting is so much harder than people think it is.
I wouldn't even have the first clue. Like I feel like I sound ridiculous when I try and do. Speaking of true crime, we listened to this great case. And this old lady, she's like an old lady murderer, and they play this audio recording, and she has to make her voice sound like a male, and I tried to do it. And I sound so ridiculous anytime I try and do any other voice but my own.
Try to do my voice, like you're trying to pretend
okay,
like...
so I'm conning someone.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Max.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like me.
But would I pass for like... maybe not myself? I'd like to take out a life insurance policy.
You sound like Kevin McAllister's Talk Boy.
That is an honor.
Just not drawn out, but you kind of sound like...
Credit card?
Credit card? You
got it.
Okay. All right. What is your last fun fact before the fun facts?
Actually, I'm going to let you do this one because you found it. Tell our lovely fans who Linda's iconic red glasses are inspired by.
They are inspired by Sally Jesse Raphael, who was...
Sally.
Did I say Sally?
It was like Sally.
Wow, I am off today.
No, you're not.
They were inspired. The chipperoo spelling threw me off. Sally Jesse Raphael, who was a big time, when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, tabloid talk show hosts, when talk shows were like, they started being like sincere and they'd have people on to like talk about their tough life stories, but then they become more sensational.
Yeah.
Which eventually led us to Jerry Springer, where it was just like fights. But she was kind of like on the in-between. She was like, some of it's Oprah-esque and then some of it's Jerry Springer-esque or Maury-esque.
So her glasses are red frames and it's clearly an iconic thing for her. I was watching the beginning of a segment and they were doing kind of a content warning, and it was a close-up of these red frame glasses kind of spinning on a tray. It was so 80s. So she was known for her red glasses, and now Linda is known for her red glasses because of Sally Jesse Raphael. That is a fun name to say, by the way.
It is, if you can get it right.
Yes.
It's a lot of names.
It's 3.
Yeah. I always find it interesting when people go with their 3 names, full names.
I'm trying to figure this out, though.
Serial killers.
Hey, well, I'm trying to figure out if I should just keep my last name or I should take yours and go by... I know I want to keep my last name somehow. So should I be Skylar Harrison Miller or should I just be Skylar Harrison? I don't know. I'm running out of time
Or should I be Max Harrison? Or should I be...
You already told me you weren't going to be Max Harrison, so don't pretend.
I don't know. Harrison's a little bit better than Miller. Let's let you, DM us. Tell us what you like.
Decide
what kind of
our
combo
fate
you
for
like.
us.
Yeah, and or if you want us to just change our last name legally to Belcher.
Oh,
we'll do it.
I do know couples that they just toss out their last names and they choose one together. I'm not even kidding.
Belcher it is. Max and Skylar and Biscuit Belcher.
Well, Biscuit Belcher sounds good, but you got to keep that MM.
We can
Max
call him
Miller.
BB. Oh, my little BB.
My BB.
Oh, my baby. Okay, we
Okay.
have an episode to get into.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow, we are chatty today. Skylar, can we have the title and synopsis for Season 6, Episode 8, please?
I just zoned out. Did you see?
Yeah, I was like,
that?
why are you staring at me like that?
I was thinking about my last name. Okay. The title is Sexy Dance Healing. Bob is in a creative burger of the day rut. While out on a walk to find inspiration, he slips on Gyro's massage oil, injuring his shoulder. Unable to pay for the surgery he needs, he has 2 options: sue Gyro or let Gyro heal him. After Gyro moves into the restaurant, Gyro declares Bob must swear off creating burgers of the day. That's the cause of his stress. The family's not into it, but Bob has chugged the Gyro Kool-Aid. In the end, Linda sneakily reignites Bob's love for burger of the days. Meanwhile, the kids embrace the power of a strongly worded letter on lawyer letterhead, and Teddy has to work through the loss of his beloved BOTD, burger of the day.
Oh, well done. You spelled out those letters perfectly. Did not
Thanks.
struggle at all. This episode came out on February 21st, 2016. It was written by Rich Rinaldi, directed by Chris Song and Bernard Derriman. Or Bernard. Bernard Derriman is what they refer to him as. He's British. I'm going to get some coffee and then we'll talk about it. I'm going to just pepper in my fun facts because they have a lot to do with us starting to talk about this episode.
Okay.
First up is obviously Sexy Dance Healing. The title
Yes.
is referring to Sexy Dance Fighting, which was where we first met Gyro in way back in season 1. It was the 4th episode of Bob's Burgers. He's back. After all this time, his capoeira studio is still there, apparently, after all this time. We haven't seen it since, I don't believe.
But it's there.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
And Tina's excited about it because that episode 4, you know, we got a good taste for Tina's lust for handsome Brazilian capoeira.
Shirtless, sweaty, butt-filled men.
Couldn't have said it better.
Butt-filled's a little weird. So because we have Gyro back, we get John Glazer back doing his voice. John Glazer is one of those guys, you're going to roll your eyes at me, who is in absolutely everything in the comedy world. I think you would most recognize him, and I probably said this in that episode back then. I'd have to go back and talk to Max from 2 years ago. But he is probably most recognizable as Councilman Jeremy Jam on Parks and Rec.
Oh, of
Hilarious.
course.
Hilarious
Yes.
character.
Yes.
So he's back as Gyro. We get
Amazing.
the return of Bob and Gyro. Last we saw Bob and Gyro, they were sexy dance fighting.
And that was a really beautiful Bob and Tina storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Bob
remember
had to
talking
poop.
about that.
Bob had to poop while he was dancing, but isn't that right? I can't
yeah,
remember. It's so
I
long ago
think
now.
so. Yeah.
Wow, because we are doing this podcast the way we're doing it, going through the series slowly, we haven't been binge watching like we would binge watch the show, I think, like we did the first couple times.
Yeah, we want to keep the episodes in front of us fresh. So, yeah. Anyway, back to this episode. Once again, this wasn't one that you're like, if you say, we're going to watch Nice Capades, I'm like, amazing. I was like, what's this episode we're watching today? And you said, it's sexy dancing. And I was like, oh, cool. And so my expectations weren't high in rewatching this. And I was so pleasantly surprised. And one of my favorite parts about it is it was a Bob-led episode. And I just realized it watching it, but Bob-centric episodes really ground me and they feel quieter. And I like that. Like, I love the noisy, loud, chaotic episodes, but this felt like a smaller episode and I was really craving it and I didn't know that I was craving it.
Wow, I didn't either. I love the way you put that because it did come off of a crazy run of like all kind of like zany episodes with the multiple like holiday ones back to back in this season, followed by a couple of other kind of crazy ones with Gail and Gene and Courtney and Wagstaff students.
Right.
So it is like, yeah, I do kind of like returning to like Bob and the calmness, and it's a different kind of humor when Bob's involved than it is with the kids.
So true.
Or Linda even.
So, exactly. Like Linda's birthday episode, Eat Spray Linda, completely different than something like this. And we did have a Bob-centric episode for the Thanksgiving one, but that was a huge, it's a Thanksgiving episode. This just feels different.
Yeah, but that also tosses Gail into the mix, who steals everything, every scene she's in and is so zany in every scene she's in.
Right.
So it's different to see Bob. Essentially, this is Bob just going and getting massages. Speaking of the massages, because Bob is so frequently shirtless in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
We get another glimpse of that beautiful, partially done tattoo that he got in the Equestronauts.
I love that. I saw someone online has that partial tattoo.
That's incredible, first of all, and I would not be surprised if a lot of people have that because I think it's a great way to get a tattoo with an homage to a show that you love without it being like, oh, this is the specific character tattooed on me, which those are great too. But it's kind of like, it's a little more subtle.
If you want something more subtle.
Yeah.
For sure. I want to back up and just talk about Bob a little bit more. I've been reading a lot of interviews as, you know, the movie comes out. I've been reading a lot of interviews with Lauren, and part of these big interviews, like the ones he did with the New York Times, which I'll give you tons of fun facts from that next week's episode, but the interviewers really have to go back to what is Bob's Burgers and asking these very basic questions. And what makes this show work is Bob's ineptitude at life. That's not the right phrasing. He is a down on your luck kind of guy. And that is what brings us in, because I think we all feel that way about our life sometimes, and we do the best that with what we've been given, and we try and we have passion. I'll give you an example. One of our listeners DM'd me and they said, I have to tell you this because no one else is going to understand, but I had a ticket to the pre-screening of the Bob's Burgers movie, and I got all dressed up and I was ready to go, and I looked and the screening was yesterday. And
oh, man.
I know. And so I DM'd them back and I was like, I'm so sorry, but to be honest, like, that is such a Bob plot. I can't even tell you. And so that's Bob, and that's this episode. He's in a creative rut. He gets an injury. He can't afford the surgery. So how do you feel about that?
No, 100%. I think Bob is, you know, arguably the most real world relatable character on the show.
Totally agree.
And I like when you said his ineptitude at life, because, and I know you said you took that back, but I feel like you said, we all have that ineptitude, at least in our minds. We think we don't know that we're doing it correctly. We never do. We're always kind of like, but then when you pause and look around, you're kind of like, I think I'm doing okay at this, you know? And like Bob is like, he's like, the restaurant's never successful. Everything's always crazy and chaotic at the house. But he's like, but that's what's great about life. That's what he's like, I've got this wife who is unique and takes care of us and loves my kids, and my kids are all crazy, but they're so unique and lovable in their own way. And, you know,
I think, okay, this is perfect segue into what I was going to say about first the ending, which is a small win, but a huge win. And Linda is often a big chaotic character. She is so subtle in pushing Bob to finding out that, wait a second, I love burgers of the day. And exactly what you were just saying is that it's the small things, and actually him reigniting his passion for these daily burgers that are probably not cost effective, probably aren't ordered that much. Even Lauren said himself, like, these are not practical burgers. He loves it. And that is enough. Loving something, even if it stresses you out, is enough to call it a win.
And I also want to say, pointing out that Linda's method of kind of like, I don't want to say tricking, but it is kind of like tricking him into getting back into it, is funny, because I feel like you do that with me plenty. Like, it's like, you can tell me something directly, and I'll be like, oh, I don't know. Yep. So you kind of have to trick me in a way to do something, and then that works. And you're like, see, I told you.
It's so true.
It's just realistic to me.
I think sometimes we know our partners, we know our friends, and people they want to discover it themselves. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Yeah, it's an Inception thing.
Yeah, so this has become an underrated episode to me.
Yeah, I think Gyro's not my favorite. But I'm okay with everything else going on around him. Should we talk a little bit about the kids?
Yes.
Okay. The kids finding out about this lawyer letterhead and using it to their benefit throughout the episode is such a good story and so funny, and it is so good. And I'm officially overusing this word. That is quintessential Bob. So as much as I didn't realize I missed Bob leading an episode, I didn't realize that I just missed the kids doing Belcher things together. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and it seems like such a commentary on, one, how scared we all are about getting sued for anything and everything, And 2, just like how kind of like slimy suing can be, or like, yeah, I just think it's,
Fish odor's great in this episode.
Yeah. And we have a lawyer in this episode, and his name is great. Do you remember the character name when they go visit the lawyer? Is Tom Innocenti.
I don't get it. Something about money.
Innocent is the name. With he's like Italian. Tom Innocenti, voiced by, I don't know if I was going to say it to you yesterday. I was going to say that sounds like, and then I was like, maybe I'll just wait to double check. Yeah. Do you have any idea who that voices?
No.
Successful Hollywood actor, character actor mostly. Great in everything he's in.
Give me like a few more hints.
He's one of the voices in Monsters, Inc.
John Goodman?
No. But good. He's in another movie with John Goodman called The Big Lebowski.
Oh, Jeff Bridges?
No. The third one in that movie.
I don't know. That's it for me.
Steve Buscemi does the voice of Tom Innocenti.
Oh, amazing.
Great voice.
The people Bob's gets on these shows. Oh, off topic. Nope. Sorry, gotta save it for Patreon. It's about the movie. I was just gonna... Max and I have a new theory about Mickey and... what's his name?
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, yeah.
We'll talk about that in the Patreon episode.
Yeah.
What else? Let's talk about Teddy real quick before we get into these end credits and the last scene. What do you think?
Let's do that.
Okay. Teddy... Well, not just Teddy. Everyone's kind of like world being turned upside down by not having a burger of the day up on the thing is so, I know I keep saying this, relatable to me as someone who is a creature of habit, a creature of routine, a creature of, the slightest thing will like freak me out if something is out of order. Yeah. Or out of my routine.
I also think this is an emotional pull. A lot of your routine is there for like stability and comfort, which I think is cool. But like, there's something profoundly poignant about Bob's creativity being there every day for the family and for Teddy. But I think it's hysterical. He is going into an existential crisis here, Teddy. And
I love when Teddy freaks out.
I do too. And I think I wrote this in my notes. Teddy is an amazing runner character. So if you're not familiar with the term runner, normally in like classic TV structure, there's an A story, a B story, and a runner that's just doesn't have to do necessarily with the plot, but can. And it's
in
just
comedy
like funny.
in comedy and like sitcoms and stuff like that, it's always like very joke heavy. Like it's almost every little clip
it
is a
doesn't
joke.
Necessarily move the plot forward at all.
And Teddy's, you're right. He's perfect for runners. He's perfect for those jokes. Larry Murphy Jr. is just, his voice is so funny. Like it makes every line Teddy says so funny. Should we get into the end credits?
Let's do it.
So the last clip is Gyro has now come into the restaurant. He just got kicked out, but he's like, oh, I need a space to do this class that I've already scheduled. And Bob's like, you can do it. And then Teddy shows up outside, sees the burger of the day, and we get this moment.
There's something on the board. There's something on the board. Bobby, make me one of those. But hold the egg. That sounds gross. And the time. Do you know what? Just do the tomato one. I'm coming in.
Teddy, being thrilled that there's something on the board. He doesn't even want the burger of the day.
He wants it to be there.
He wants the burger he had earlier in the episode,
which he complained about.
Yeah, right. But it's all just about it being up there.
Teddy thinking runny eggs are gross is so Teddy to me.
I agree. I could not disagree with him more about that, though. You know I love a runny egg on my burger.
I do.
So we get that last moment with Teddy. He's thrilled. He's running back in the restaurant. All is well in the world. And what do we see? What do we hear as we go into the end credits here?
We hear some dun 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 dun. I don't know, some music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, we hear some music.
We do. And then what do we see?
We're in the generic kitchen scene, and we've just got Bob and Louise prepping burgers. Tina is MIA.
I didn't notice.
Louise is up on her tippy toes.
Which we need to keep an eye out on because in recent episodes, she has been flat-footed, and that's the worst decision I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah. Is it recurring that she's flat-footed, or do you think it
believe
was just
so
in one
season
episode?
12.
Okay,
But
keep
we'll
an
go
eye
check
out.
for
Yeah.
sure.
We don't know where Tina is, but we hear this music, and almost immediately Linda jumps in to the service window from the right side of the screen, and she's singing Muse Dance, which was her dance that she did.
When Bob realized that it was her that tricked him into getting back into his burgers. In the beginning of the episode, she had stated that she wanted to be his muse, and she turns out she was.
Yeah, so now it seems like she's celebrating that she did it.
Same lyrics that she was saying in the third act.
Yeah, it's like Muse Dance.
Dance.
And now to this music. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else happens. I love the oohs in there, by the way.
Ooh, it's very Bob's. That's a Bob thing.
So Linda dances off to the other side of the service window, then pops in again to say Muse Dance.
And when she does,
pops out, yeah, when she pops out and does that, she does like finger guns. Even though her face isn't in the window, you see her fingers doing the finger guns.
It's pretty cute.
And then who else makes an appearance in the window there?
Then we see Tina dancing from left to right through the window. And she's kind of moving her arms. And it almost looks more, I just realized this now, a little capoeira-ish.
That's what she's doing. She's doing the capoeira dance that she learned in Sexy Dance Fighting. It's exactly what she's doing.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. Louise is doing a good job, it looks like to me, without Tina helping her.
Yep.
They've got the burger ready.
Yep.
We're just waiting for Jean. I just want to say, sometimes Linda makes an appearance when the burger's in the window for her to serve and just like goes and grabs it and then walks off. This time she does a whole spin, claps her hands over her head.
Oh, she is into her Muse Dance.
Yeah, grabs that burger and dances her way off the screen. You know, something we didn't point out is that Bob is in sandals, his flip-flops.
No.
And on his flipping hand, his burger flipping hand, his right arm, he has scrunchies.
This is why we do this podcast.
Yeah, it's very subtle. I mean, a lot of the times his hand is not even visible because he's flipping burgers behind his body.
Explain both the sandals and the scrunchies, just in case people haven't seen this episode recently.
The scrunchies are kind of like belts in karate, I guess, from Gyro.
They're trust
he takes them off his head and gives them to Bob in different colors.
Not the red one, though.
No, not the red one.
It's very funny watching a very not spiritual Bob transform into spiritual Bob. And one of the major transformations is when he enters the kitchen and the kids are like, you're wearing flip-flops, Dad? Which is it was really funny to me.
Yeah. And dads and men, when they go into flip-flop season or sandal season, and it's been a long time since they've had those winter on, and his feet are probably not looking too hot.
In the latest Queer Eye, Tan says to this really sweet guy, it was a really sweet episode. His wife had died, so he was just grieving really hard. He was wearing sandals, and Tan goes, I have to tell you something. Your feet are not flip-flop ready, and that's how I feel about my feet right now as we go into summer.
I feel like that so frequently.
Yeah, we call our toenails talons when self hygiene gets a little away from us.
I really think
was that TMI?
No, I don't think so at all. That's what people are here for, right?
Oh gosh,
I think toenails, like clipping them regularly, and you really have to go out of your way
to clip them regularly.
Yeah, to not let them kind of grow past a certain point, and you really have to
like with evolution, etc. Why do we have to do so much freaking self-care?
Yeah, you would think that just let our toenails grow to the point we want them to at this point.
Yeah. Please.
Also, it's like not easy to do because you have to do it somewhere where the nails get caught. Otherwise, they end up. You're just like
toenails fly.
Yeah, you're just like walking around the house one day and you step on a toenail or something
Ew.
from like last week when you clipped them.
Just quickly tell the story about Gary.
I'm gonna have to tell Gary that
It's on this podcast.
Yeah, but my good friend Gary, who was my co-host over at Credit Score,
and your coworker,
and my coworker. That's where I met him at my last job.
Which is where we met and fell in love.
He used to clip his fingernails in the office before he was like going out. You said, "Why are you doing that in here, Gary?" And what did he say? He said, like, I have a date with my wife tonight or something like that.
But it was Gary. So he was like, I got to look good for the lady.
Yeah, something like that. And in my brain, it's always been that he was clipping his toenails at the desk. And I always say that. And he hates that I say that. Anyway, hi, Gary. I hope you're keeping your toenails and fingernails well manicured for your dates with your wife. Let's get back to these end credits. Linda pops up this time. So she's now crawled underneath the service window. And for her next muse dance, pops her head up like a whack-a-mole.
And then, but she goes, she like zigzags down, back down. It's so good.
Classic Linda.
Linda's can be annoying. I'm finding this charming.
It works for this muse dance song.
Oh, you can barely see the scrunchies. That is the detail I am talking about.
Subtle. And Gene makes his appearance just as he normally does, walking across the screen in his burger costume.
And I'm sorry, I was talking over. The music is really nice at the end. The credits go to the card and the 20th Century Fox, and it does another like, ooh.
Yeah, I love the backup vocals in this song. Highlights, lowlights for these end credits.
When we watched them yesterday from afar, from our couch, I was like, okay. Did not notice the flip-flops, did not notice the scrunchies, and didn't quite put together that she was doing capoeira, Tina. So these are better than I thought they were.
And that's the beauty of this podcast. We point out these little things that you probably missed when you were watching it. You can't keep an eye on everything, especially because it's so small on the screen
and
to
Hulu's
catch all
like,
these things.
I don't want you to watch these. I'm going to blur it out.
That's true. All the stupid streaming services are like, oh, it's credits time. Don't you want to watch this next episode? And they like tint the screen. It's very upsetting. Anyway, yes, I'm with you. Those are the subtle touches I like in the end credits sometimes. I love a generic kitchen sequence with little subtle touches from the episode.
I love seeing the fam.
Highlight for me, not putting Gyro in the end credits. I'm glad.
I was done with
him. I was done with him.
Yeah.
Should we score them?
Yeah.
We score on a scale of 1 to 10 H's at the end of Tina's
I'm ready, but I want you to go first.
Okay. I am going to give them a 9 H's.
Wow. I'm going to give them an 8.
I'm going to come down to 8.5.
We'll just give it an 8.5.
Both 8.5? Okay.
Yeah.
8.5 H's, not perfection.
But small details.
Those small details bring it up a lot. The fact that the music they've attached to Linda's muse dance, like we said, makes it not as annoying as it could be. And it's actually a very enjoyable music.
Love the ooh.
Yeah, it makes it a good song. And yeah, the little touches of Bob with his scrunchie and his flip-flops.
Yes. And those two details make the nostalgia of it a lot bigger for me, because I like to think like Gyro's finally gone. He doesn't live there anymore. And Bob has been snapped out of his spiritual trance. And he's like, I'm too lazy to go put my chef shoes on. I'm just going to stay in these flip-flops.
And obviously Tina doing some capoeira in there is great. That's a good way to get kind of like the gyro-ness of the episode. Yeah. Without us having to kind of like...
Yeah, this was lovely.
Yeah, I agree. That's it. Those are the end credits to Sexy Dance Healing. Oh, what?
On Discord, should we make a channel that's just like credit score? And every time our patrons listen to an episode, they can give their own score.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I think that's just an easy way to keep the podcast conversation going in Discord. Let's do it.
Sounds great. I'll create that today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are thriving over there. Bob's credits
We
all
are.
across the board.
Max just created the best TikTok I've ever seen.
Oh, please.
It's true.
Yeah, it's going to be dated by the time this goes up. Anyway.
But it's still...
Stranger Things, Bob's Burgers crossover. Go follow us.
I have a secret message for our patrons.
Okay.
Get in the Discord, because I'm a planner. Max is not a planner, but we balance each other out. Tell me if you would be interested in a Bob's Burgers secret menu Friendsgiving, where we do a Zoom situation this year. Tell me if you'd be interested in some live trivia events. We are about to restructure our Patreon. Don't worry, you will have access to everything you already have access to.
Yeah, if you're already signed up, you're good. But there is a restructuring coming.
Yeah.
There'll be different tiers with all different types of things.
More
Anyway,
exciting things.
Yeah.
So get in the Discord. Tell me if you'd be interested in some live events where we will work with our crazy different time zones.
That's patreon.com/Bob's Credits,
Yep.
as we've said. Anything else you want to say to everyone before we get out of here?
Stay runny eggy.
That works for me.
All right.
You know I love a runny egg.
All right, let's do it.
Meep, 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 meep.